Okay, so first of all, what people don't know about me is I have an absolute passion for racing. So when I was doing Dragon's Den, then did News Talk, and then I was doing The Couch in RT Cork, people said, what are your hobbies? And I used to lie and say I loved cooking and, you know, my kitchen was the heart of the home, which of course wasn't true at all. So really my hobby, my one and only hobby is racing. So when I was in the UK and running the Irish Post, I was involved with Cheltenham, I was involved in running the Irish race night at Kempton Park. So of course when I came home to Ireland, reached out to the Curragh. We've had a long association with the Guineas. It's a perfect marriage for Irish Tattler. We're 125 years old this year. We launched in 1890 and it was called Woman of the Home, and more likely to read now about your manservants and how you found the best nanny than anything else. And then in about 1922 we registered as Irish Tattler. So it's the oldest periodical in Ireland. And of course the Curragh is celebrating 150 years of the Derby. And we've found some wonderful old photographs in the archives in Irish Tattler. So it's a great, this year in particular, it's a great fusion for the two different brands. And Ladies' Day for us is as much about celebrating the racing as it is about celebrating women, great fashion sense. So the first thing you have to know is that I have been researching for some time the very first Ladies' Day and I cannot find it. I have asked everybody, including Jacqueline O'Brien, who's helping to write the book on 150 years of the Derby. Nobody knows where did Ladies' Day come from. What we do know is that racing was predominantly a men's sport, a man's activity, and at various times, whether it was in Ireland on the beach or the steeplechase or over in the UK, they said, do you know, why don't we have a day where the women come along? They weren't dressed up. They were just days where the women came along and they took part in the horse racing, and then over time, far more in recent decades, especially through Ascot, it started to become something where you could celebrate hats in particular. It spurred a whole industry of milliners. I mean, Philip Tracy and all of the others. I think it's the biggest, probably the biggest business increase in Ireland has been in milliners. And then I think, if I'm being honest, different race meetings have different styles. You know, for the Guineas, we always do a style icon, very classic, which is nice. It's a celebration of, you know, not necessarily quirky things, but just being appropriately dressed for the races. And then when I go to Cheltenham, it's almost dressed down. You know, you have to be in tweeds and you have to kind of look more of the racing set than the fashionista set. So Ascot I go to every single year, and oh my goodness, the worst wardrobe moment. You know, you guys are fine, top hat and tails. My worst wardrobe moment, the weeks before Ascot, what are you going to wear? What's the hat going to look like? Will you have the appropriate coverage on your shoulders? Yes, it's very stressful. The best, for me, the best kind of Ladies' Day is where women can feel very comfortable. They're out, for goodness sake, they're out, you know, in a sporting event, sometimes walking across fields. They should look appropriate, they should feel appropriate, not be dressed up to go to a nightclub. So what is style all about? By the way, we also do Best Dressed Man, and actually disappointingly bad. So I can't tell you how often I've done Best Dressed Man and really struggled. You know, it might be a choice between he's wearing a red tie and he's wearing a purple one. So, you know, you lads out there listening, you need to, you know, up your game a little bit, okay? But for women, I think style is about, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. It's about something that you either have or you don't. It's not forced. You don't feel uncomfortable. I know a woman who feels uncomfortable the minute I see her, and she's pushing down her skirt and she knows that she's not comfortable in what she's wearing. And then I see women who pull off a look with panache. And it may be a vintage jacket or a beautiful hat or something they made themselves, or it could be something they bought in a high street department store mixed with a vintage bag. Just have it. You just look at them and you know they're effortlessly chic. And I suppose for the Guineas in particular, we're always looking for that one beautiful, elusive lady who just looks the part. But we're always looking for somebody different, somebody new. You know, in my time as judge, I've chosen older women, I've chosen quirky women, I've chosen women of all shapes and sizes. It's not really about looking like a fashion model. In fact, it's the opposite. I think it's looking, you know, beautiful, as I say, effortlessly chic. You look like you're just comfortable in what you're wearing and you can carry it off. I think it's a great marriage, actually, Irish Tattler, and in particular the Curragh, because we've had a long association with the Curragh. Apart from my own personal passion, race hospitality is something that more women should do. I passionately believe it. I think it's absolutely, for me, it's always been so much better than any other day out, that I can bring women along, they can dress up, they can feel comfortable, there's a participation, you're not just watching something. So for me, it's a wonderful combination of the magazine and all the brand values that it has. It's a hard word to use for magazines, but actually we call it Ireland's Style Bible because it is. And it is that great combination of a businesswoman who wants to look good. And I think that's the kind of women that we target when we go to the Curragh, and particularly when we go to the Guineas, which is, it is the first of the season in terms of the fashion. I think it's the first of the season, definitely, in terms of the fashion and fillies thing. Frocks and fillies, I always call it, you know. But it is a great combination, and it's great for us that we cover it.